fear can be an effective catalyst for motivation. For example, if your boss tells you to get your project done on time or you will lose your job, you can be sure you're going to do everything in your power to get that project done. You may resent your boss for doing this, but you are probably going to do as he or she wishes unless you are looking to get fired. Another situation where fear will motivate you is when something crucial breaks in your home. It could be the water heater giving out in the middle of raining season. You are at a point where you have no choice but to call for expensive repairs. If you don't, you'll risk showering in cold water and being uncomfortable. We all have a certain amount of fear-based motivation. But, is it the best way to get people to do things? In the case of the water heater, you'll have no choice and have to chalk it up to being a part of life. But, in the case of your boss harping onto you, is there a better way for him or her to handle the situation? Can you continually work in an environment based on that kind of fear? Fear-based motivation can be both good and bad, depending on how it is used. On the one hand, fear can be a powerful motivator that drives people to take action and achieve their goals. For example, fear of failure can motivate someone to work harder and strive for success. Fear of negative consequences, such as losing a job or damaging a reputation, can also motivate people to make better choices and avoid risky behaviors. On the other hand, fear-based motivation can also be harmful if it is used excessively or inappropriately. When fear is the primary motivator, it can lead to stress, anxiety, and burnout. Fear can also cause people to make impulsive decisions or engage in unethical behaviors to avoid negative consequences. Furthermore, fear-based motivation can be problematic when it is used to manipulate or control people. For example, a boss who uses fear of job loss to coerce employees into working overtime or taking on unreasonable workloads can create a toxic work environment that undermines morale and productivity. It's questionable whether motivation based on fear is sustainable. If you are an employee and there aren't many jobs available as alternatives, you may feel like you have no choice but to comply. But, sometimes, this kind of negative working environment gets people more motivated to get out of the situation. In other words, the motivation tactics may work in the short term, but eventually, employers may experience a high turnover when those employees recognize there are other choices. The Internet is a great equalizer in this regard, as more people can choose to freelance on their terms or start working on the business they always wanted to. There's an old saying about how you catch more flies with honey. If managers would recognize they would get more loyalty out of people by offering incentives rather than scare tactics to get their employees to do the work, maybe turnover wouldn't be so high. Unfortunately, these managers don't learn this until it's too late. And even then, will they make any changes? Often, they make the justification that it's the employee's fault and they decided to leave. Think about the impact you have if you are a manager trying to motivate your employees. If you have used fear as a motivator, is it something that has worked for you in the long term? Or, did you simply set an environment where people couldn't wait to get away? Share your thoughts. Like, subscribe and share.